President drops out of the election race and backs VP Kamala Harris. In sport, West Indies collapse and lose second test.
Live from Maraval Road, Port of Spain, this is TTT News, first at 6 p.m.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Perry Webster, and welcome to TTT News. A man from South Trinidad is on the run from police officers in connection with the murder of a woman who was allegedly beaten to death. Homicide detectives in South Trinidad are probing the death of the woman who was anonymously dropped off at the San Fernando Hospital in an unresponsive state. According to police reports, just after 2 a.m. on Sunday, the woman was dropped off at the entrance of the Accident and Emergency Department by an unknown vehicle. Police say the female was unresponsive and efforts were made to resuscitate her. However, she was pronounced dead at around 4:50 a.m. According to police, at around 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, the woman was positively identified as 22-year-old Shemaya Went by her mother. Acting on information, police subsequently went to Johnstone Street, San Fernando, conducted inquiries, and seized several items of clothing that appeared to be stained. Police are treating the motive as domestic. U.S. President Joe Biden stepped down as the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee on Sunday and endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris to replace him. In an official statement, President Biden said, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president." He said, while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. In a separate statement, President Biden said his very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as his vice president, and it has been the best decision he's made. He further stated, "Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year." President Biden said he will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about his decision. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has responded to the news that U.S. President Joe Biden will not seek re-election. In a statement on the Facebook page of the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley described the decision as very historic, bold and courageous, coming from a man who would do anything for his country. The Prime Minister wished Mr. Biden a long and healthy retirement. With respect to Mr. Biden's endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris, Prime Minister Rowley said the final outcome of this will always be a matter for the American people, and he has every confidence that they will be guided to make wise and sensible decisions. Prime Minister Rowley pointed out that he is fortunate to have worked with both President Biden and Vice President Harris. He wished them well on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago as they go forward into a vigorous campaign. Shortly after being conferred with an honorary degree from the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, the Archbishop of Canterbury called for much more to be done to slow the effects of climate change after seeing the impact of Hurricane Beryl. Sunalala reports.
You may remember him in mid-2023 as he crowned King Charles III before almost 2,000 people in Westminster Abbey. Now, a little more than a year later, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has been conferred with an honorary degree of Doctor of Laws from the University of the West Indies. And shortly after receiving the honor, Archbishop Welby remembered the devastation Hurricane Beryl caused to many parts of the Caribbean, including the island of Jamaica, where he received the degree.
I'm particularly grateful for you arranging this ceremony, especially after what has been a terrible past few weeks for the island of Jamaica and for so many of its inhabitants and for those living right across large parts of the Caribbean as you deal with the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl.
But he said much more needs to be done by the real perpetrators, which accelerates the effect of climate change.
I continue to pray for those impacted by its deadly path, conscious that climate change is having a disproportionate impact on these islands as on other low-lying islands around the world. It strikes me that those same inward-looking, power-grabbing, selfish ideologies that led to the trade in people has also led to the environmental crisis.
Vice-Chancellor of the UWI, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, mentioned the university's long relationship with the Anglican Church.
We consider it fitting and appropriate then to honor his service in the church, and most specifically his distinguished leadership of the Anglican Communion.
And the public orator from the UWI, Dr. Peter Glegg, said it was an honor to confer the degree on such an outstanding institutional leader.
And as the 105th Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend and Right Honourable Justin Portal Welby crowned His Royal Highness King Charles III in Westminster Abbey on May the 6th, 2023. Chancellor, the Most Reverend and Right Honourable Justin Portal Welby has transitioned from the petroleum oil industry to anointing King Charles III with holy oil.
The ceremony on July 20th coincided with the Archbishop's visit to Jamaica to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the establishment of the Diocese of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Sonolala, TTT News.
Dozens of students from rural communities in East Trinidad benefited from a book distribution on Sunday. Representative from Suan's Collections and Friends, Susan Bailey, says the group was inspired to extend its back-to-school drive to rural communities. Speaking at a book distribution and stationery drive for 164 children at the Exodus Panyard in Tunapuna on Sunday, she said the group, which started the initiative 15 years ago as a Christmas party for children, found it necessary to conduct a book drive for the most vulnerable. At least 73 children, she said, reside in the rural communities from the Toco Sangre Grande constituency.
Books are important, so we squashed the Christmas party and we started to do the books. Then came the pandemic in 2020, so our last event like this was 2019. And then we gravitated, we couldn't gather, we gravitated towards the Toco Sangre Grande community because we found, because we found it's a rural area, and my understanding is, I may be wrong, that the rural areas are forgotten.
And Member of Parliament for Toco Sangre Grande, Roger Monroe, praised the organization for going the extra mile in extending assistance to the most vulnerable children to ensure the basic needs of education are met.
To reach out to the vulnerable in their constituency and give as much assistance as they could to remove the possibility of disadvantage to those in the vulnerable situation, to ensure that you even the playing field for all within your constituency. So I want to remind each and every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, the children of Trinidad and Tobago are our future. Let us invest wisely in our young ones. They are going to be the men and women of tomorrow to carry on the investment and hard work that we as adults make today.
The MP thanked corporate TNT for its continued assistance in making the event a reality and encouraged more to extend their hands to different parts of the country. More news after the break. Stay with us.
A new cell phone I buy, moving like it's back in time. Data moving very slow. Switch to the bigger network, no is data. Covering we nationwide, no is streaming. I could watch a movie online on his plans for every type of lifestyle. Switch to Digicel, is the network with all the vibes. Switch to the better network today. Digicel, better together.
and 5-year-old preschoolers were brought together for a spelling bee competition on Sunday at the Cipriani Labour College in Valsaine. As part of the 4th annual National Spelling Bee competition hosted by Wren's Bright Beginners, 56 children from more than a dozen preschool showed off their skills.
Can you spell the day Monday? Monday.
Monday. M-O-N-D-A-Y. Monday.
All right, audience, give it up.
A teacher, Gemma Jordan, said such an event illustrates how intelligent these children are from an early age.
They start off with the 2-letter, 3 letters, and 4-letter words, and then the higher up they advance, the more difficult the words become. But you know, in preschool, because they have such a solid foundation in phonics, once the pronouncer sounds out the letters of the words, our preschoolers are able to spell the words. So
Ms. Jordan said this took an all-encompassing approach from everyone involved to get the participants ready.
And they decide which children are ready. They also get a list of words. So there are guidelines, and the teachers in the preschools actually train the children. And of course, when the children go home, family members also drill them with the words. So when they come here, they have been adequately prepared for this spelling bee competition, and it is so much fun to hear them spell these words.
On July 11th, Clavia Simpson, Miss Rhythmic Vibrations, was announced the first runner-up and received the Most Intelligent and Best Talent prizes. Her receiving the Best Talent prize was approved by all, as her performance Sweet Sweet Tobago has now become the talk around town, taking social media by storm.
Since her performance at the recently held Miss Tobago Heritage Personality Competition, some say they can't get the song out of their heads, while others believe it could be the next Tobago Heritage Festival theme song.
Clavia Simpson said she has been studying the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality Competition for several years, and so when she decided to enter this year, the big decision was what would be her talent. But Clavia knew what she wanted, and she delivered a blend of Tobago's folk music with a classical touch, titled Sweet Sweet Tobago, composed, arranged, and directed by Clavia herself.
So for every talent, usually the person that wins best talent or the talent that you see constantly is a monologue. And it's part of kind of like a Tobago mold when it comes to the Queen show. So I wanted to do something different, something to put me above the rest. And I have the ability to sing, and I have the ability to sing, to dance, to do monologues. So I thought that maybe I can do that. So when telling people that I want to sing, they asked me, well, Clavia, what will you sing? And that was the whole tobacco there. And I said, well, why don't I write something?
Love for music is in her blood. Clavia unearthed her potential at the age of 5 years when she represented Auntie Catherine's preschool in a calypso competition.
My mommy was in music amateurs, is in music amateurs. So I've grown up around classical music and that sort of Western music. So I have that ear for the Western trained music. And as I got older, after the Warners, Mr. Warner, Mrs. Ruby Warner, Mr. Lincoln Warner, Sherry Warner, Carol Warner, Christy Warner, they all adopted me and they taught me the theory and practicality behind music. So that's where I got my structure and my base with Trinity College training. And finally, I came to Rhythmic Vibrations and JD's Vocal Academy.
Clavia, who just completed her A-levels at Bishop's High School, recently arranged for the school's winning music festival performance. And so it was no surprise when she was given the green light to compose her talent, taking only 2 days to complete.
The melody instantly came to mind, almost like when you come home from a movie and you're hearing this song constantly in your head. That's how I was hearing Sweet Sweet Tobago in my head. So when I got home, I thought it through, I wrote it out, I spent like about 4 hours just in my room writing it down, and the song was there. I then put on some background vocals so that the backups could know what to sing and the pianist knew the melody. And with that, so with choreographing, I would say it took me about 2 weeks to get it to where it needed to be.
High praises were given to her Rhythmic Vibrations team, who Clavia said played an integral role in the successful execution of her performance, telling the story of a Tobago creative.
It was that story of you know that you are creative. The mommy saying, Clavia, go and practice your classical. I don't want no folk music in this house. And it kind of tied back to the theme of We Come Back, which is the theme of Heritage this year. Knowing that no matter how talented you are, you need to come back to Tobago because Tobago is sweet, 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 sweet. So that's the storyline behind. That's the kind of message I'm trying to push, that Tobago is sweet enough for you to bring your talent and contribute to your island.
This young and ambitious creative will soon be on her way to pursue studies at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. She is taking her love for the performing arts with her to later return and give back to her island.
I want to do different courses in culture, in the arts, in communications, in marketing, so that when I come back to Tobago, I come back with that foundation, with that education, with that knowledge, so that I'm not just here based on raw talent.
For those who are calling for more to be done with this production, Clavia says she's heeding the calls.
I've heard people saying, Clavia, copyright it, record it professionally. And I just want to say, Tobago, don't worry, I'm not going to give away too much, but something is coming.
We look forward for what Clavia has in store for sweet, sweet Tobago. I am Carissa Douglas for TTT News, and I love Tobago.
Song and dance is like nowhere else. Tambu bamboo, infectious beat.
Remember, you can keep up to date with all that's happening on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube at TTT Live Online.
Greetings, my name is Dr. Bipaya Pari and I am a Junior Research Fellow at the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies at the University of the West Indies. I am also Chair of the Disability Studies Research Cluster at my department. The cluster is fairly young. It only started in late 2019, and the aim of the cluster is to conduct research in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean region to inform policy decisions to improve the life of persons with disabilities. The team consists of Dr. Elizabeth Kutcher, Ms. Hannah Inaitula, and myself. Based on the work we've done so far for Trinidad and Tobago, we gather that there is a lack of understanding about disabilities and the capabilities of persons with disabilities. As such, we saw that there is a need to engage in a public awareness project to highlight the contributions persons with disabilities are making to Trinidad and Tobago society. And so in commemoration of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we'll be sharing these contributions via online articles and videos on social media. We look forward to your engagement with these materials and encourage you to use the hashtag #DSRCPAP so that we can easily find your feedback. On behalf of the team, I thank you and do enjoy. The West Indies men fell to their second defeat in as many games as England bowled out the Caribbean side on the final session of Day 4. England posted a towering 425 all-out in their second innings. Joe Root scored 122 and Harry Brook 109. Jayden Seales was the pick of the bowlers for the Windies, taking 4 for 97. This meant the Windies required 384 runs to win in 4 sessions of play. They were going solid at 61 for 1 until the well-known West Indian collapse. 74 for 3 led to 91 for 6, and eventually they were dismissed for 143 in 36.1 overs.
Captain Craig Brathwaite topped the batting chart with 47. For England, Shoaib Bashir picked up 5 wickets for 41 runs as the hosts won by 241 runs, winning the second test and also taking the 3-match series 2-0. Speaking at the close, a disappointed West Indies captain says it was not the result he was hoping for, but thought the team demonstrated a good fighting spirit, especially in the first innings.
The big positive obviously is our first innings, scoring 400 runs. That was great, for a guy making his maiden 100 as well. I think that was good. I think with the ball, we weren't as good as we were supposed to be in the first innings. We dropped a few chances, which would happen, but I think we need to be a lot more disciplined. We get a hit, both sides of the pitch a little too much, too easy at times. So that's the one thing we've got to get better at. Because easy is probably 100 or 120 runs too many in the first innings, especially if you caught better. Obviously, as I said, that happens. But a positive takeaway is first innings, the runs we scored. And obviously, the challenge is to do it 2 times, because obviously you bat twice in the test match.
On Saturday, we brought you the final of an entertaining Women's Warriors Wellness Cup, where Club Sando captured the title. The battle for 3rd place was equally entertaining, and we have the highlights.
With most of the Trinidad and Tobago national women's senior team representing their clubs in the 3Ws Cup, it was left to the TTFA high-performance team to fly the TNT flag, and they went up against the Grenada national team in the playoff for 3rd. The TTFA high-performance team got the scoring started with a well-taken free kick, which has been a feature throughout the tournament. Oriel Martin making it 1-0. Grenada had an ideal chance to head back, but a shot from their top player, Roniel Bob, was saved by Michaela Yearwood. That initiated a counter-attack, which was well finished by Taisha Griffith to make it 2-0 TTFA, and that was the score at the break. Rashida Archer made it 3-0 to the local team in the second half with another long-range special. Grenada also had some long-distance hitting in their repertoire, but the save was well effected. Off the resulting corner, they would get on the board in added-on time. Bob bundling it in to make it 3-1 after some discussion between the officials. The TTFA high-performance team taking 3rd place in the 3Ws Cup with a 3-1 win over the Grenada women's team. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
The Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 Women's Tournament recently concluded with the closing ceremony and awards taking place at the Hilton Hotel, where the new champions were crowned.
TNT Under-19 women were unable to defend their 2023 title as Guyana was crowned the new 2024 champions of the Cricket West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 tournament held in its entirety in Trinidad. Speaking at the closing ceremony, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Women's Cricket Association, Marjorie Thomas, says development of the women's game must always be at the forefront of all administrators.
The Under-19 tournament was initiated by Trinidad and Tobago. We started this tournament with only 3 teams competing, and we have persevered. Today, we are all sitting here enjoying the fruits of the labor of our perseverance.
Meanwhile, tournament coordinator, Windies woman great Marissa Aguilera, urged regional bodies to put in the work needed for progress.
And I want each and every one of you to understand how fortunate you are to be here to represent your country. So sometimes we tend to take it lightly, but we don't understand the importance of what the mission that you are here for, because you are the next future generation of cricket, West Indies cricketers. And I want each and every one of you to remember that. You are the future of West Indies cricket.
To the awards now, and the player with the most catches was Jamaica's Abigail Bryce. Most wickets, taking a total of 15, was Trisha Hardat of Guyana. Tumika Pagu from TNT was the best wicketkeeper, and scoring 171 runs and also copying the tournament MVP, Jazara Claxton from the Leeward Islands. Guyana then lifted their trophy and was crowned the 2024 Cricket West Indies Regional Under-19 Women's Champion.
More news after the break. Stay with us.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is dedicated to providing you with an exceptional customer service experience. Whenever you visit any of our stations across Trinidad and Tobago, we invite you to share your feedback. Simply look for the customer service box in the reception area and use your smart device to scan the QR code to rate the service you received. Our Customer Service Unit Secretariat carefully reviews all the feedback, ensuring your concerns are promptly addressed. We value both positive and negative feedback, as it helps us to strengthen our relationship with the community and continuously improve our services. Thank you for helping us serve you better. This is your Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, always working for you and protecting and serving with pride.
Tonight is expected to be generally fair, with the likelihood of brief showers over few areas. Tomorrow, sunshine will likely be interrupted by intervals of cloudiness and showers over few areas, especially from mid-morning. There is also a low to medium chance of isolated thunderstorm activity favoring southern areas of Trinidad. Street or flash flooding and gusty winds are possible in the event of heavy downpours. A moderate concentration of Sahara dust is present in the atmosphere. Persons sensitive to this change in air quality should take the necessary precautions. Seas are moderate, with waves 1.3 meters to 1.5 meters, occasionally up to 2 meters in open waters, below 1 meter in sheltered areas. On July 19th, U.S. Ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Candice Bond, celebrated the Soul of America at the U.S. Embassy's annual Independence Day reception at the Hyatt Hotel, Port of Spain. Tribute was paid to U.S. citizen and Korean War veteran Dr. Robert Alfonso Nelson, also known as the legendary Lord Nelson, a pioneer in the calypso music art form. Here's tonight's feel-good moment.
Bound together, one another. Nothing could separate we from sins in slavery. They say, all are we one family. 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 It's West Indian pleasure. They say it's no crime to shake we behind. We're still in with pride, so let we have a good time. It's West Indian culture. We like it with plenty mixture. Me lover, I have to mention in my confession to you, me lover. What we should and shouldn't do. As a
This is TTT News. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
This is TTT. Live for local.
Week in Review, brought to you by Trinidad and Tobago Government Communication.